All right, as I see you all logging in here, welcome to this bi-weekly week's edition of the bi-weekly update. It's a chance for us to give you what's hot on our minds, or not on our minds at all. Actually, today is wonderful fall day. It started off as a beautiful morning, ran the bluff, saw some of the clouds, and the sun just coming under. Now it's a beautiful sunny day, and I think fall is one of my favorite times of the year, as you know, and this autumn is a great time for reflection. So we'll talk about a few things today. I know a lot of things people are looking for. There's a lot of tax laws. There's 4 different opportunities here, and they're doing some negotiations. We'll talk a bit about those. We're going to dive heavily into market research with Zach. We're going to go through some really strong, heavy algorithms. So this will be probably a 3 or 4 hour program today. You know, a little longer than normal. I'm joking. We won't go through that. That was more for the forum we had last week. But thank you all for attending that as well. We got a lot going on here at Gentian. So today I want to just say I'm grateful for, in going big, if you will, I'm grateful for advisors. I'm grateful for friends. I'm grateful for autumn, for family, for rejuvenation, for growth, for self-discovery. There's a lot I'm really grateful for, but really grateful for the 12 and the 6 you'll probably see here today, and the 12 who are our team. So thank you especially for you as well for attending today. So I'm really grateful for a lot. I'll just name a few of those as well. But how about I'm grateful for Ken. Ken, how about yourself?
Well, thank you, Chris. I'm grateful for you as well. Right back at you. So I'm very much thankful for the team. You guys, you know who you are. You're wonderful. I can't list everybody. The team is getting bigger and bigger, which is fantastic. Better to serve all of you. But thank you all for what you do for our clients. It's wonderful. Thank you. So my gratitude goes out to actually my daughter's basketball team. So a lot of you are Marquette fans, so you're going to appreciate this story. I found out recently that my daughter's on the 4th grade club team through Homestead. It's kind of like the feeder program to get to the Homestead High School. And it's called the Highlander Basketball Club. And it turns out that Travis Diener is going to be one of the coaches this year for the 4th grade. So a lot of you that follow Marquette basketball can appreciate Joe Chapman, can appreciate Travis Diener, the Steve Novak days. Those are some good Marquette years that we had, the Jimmy Butler days as well. So it's really grateful that he is still living, after retirement, after professional basketball. His identity was basketball and still is. He's still a vital part of being and coaching younger children as far as the skills camps and stuff like that. So just grateful for the opportunity to actually meet him and also have my daughter learn from one of the best players that have ever handled the ball, in my opinion. So I'm grateful for that.
Thank you very much, Ken. I appreciate it. Zach, how about yourself?
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that. It'd be tough to yell at your daughter's coach, Ken, for not knowing the game then. So, but I myself am extremely grateful. Today is a very special day. It is Janet DeBoer, my mother's birthday today. So she's been a pediatric nurse for 35 years, and she is the most thoughtful, caring person I could ever imagine and a son could ever ask for. So send some birthday wishes and vibes to the greatest mother that I could ever imagine.
That's awesome. And the only one you've ever had.
Exactly.
So think about that one for a moment. Happy birthday, obviously. Well, today as well, I'll hop into housekeeping for a moment, but I want to ask a question. Do you guys have a plan for what you want to do for your life? You ever had a plan? This is extremely important to many people, and it changes the way I look at things, but you had a plan about something. Let's say that you wanted to accomplish, you wanted to build something, you wanted to retire, you wanted to be healthy. And here's a very, very, very important question, because we all have intentions and aspirations. The best question you can ask, though, is add this little phrase. It's 4 words. I'm sorry, it's 3 words. And if not. So practice this. One of my great advisors, Lee Brower, a good friend of mine as well. We've done a horizon with myself and my wife recently, and that question is one of those little things I've got. It's a nugget. And if not, I intend to build a home, and it's going to go really well. And if not, it prepares you for, hey, the market's going to continue up. And if not, it's something I've used here for many, many years. I've just simplified the format of how we're going to ask it. And we prepare everyone here and prepare you for those things as well. Taxes are going to go up. And if not. So here today, for instance, one of the guys, a Barry Sternlicht, I don't even know what Barry Sternlicht is, by the way, says part of the stock market is a complete and total speculative bubble. It's a great opinion, but that's the only way he can get press today, is to be a catastrophist media, let's call it, writer. So interesting to see, but here's probably the best news of today, and hopefully I didn't steal anybody's thunder with this. Social Security's cost of living adjustment will be 5.9%. Woo! That's the biggest jump in Social Security we've seen in my career. So I just want to tell you, Ken's been working on that. Zach's been working on it. Lisa's been working on it. And so has Peter. My whole team's been working. It was going to be 5.8. They actually got it to 5.9. So thank them for the 0.1%. It's very nice. It was going to be 6, but then I got involved. So 5.9, we'll give credit to them. A couple things we'll go through as well. But before I go through much more of my stuff, I wanted to bring Lisa on to give us the British version of what's going on at Gentian that's important that you should be understanding.
Thank you, Chris. I don't know whether my British version is any different from the American one, but so it seems. So good morning, everybody. I'm grateful to be able to be doing the housekeeping today. So it's great to be out there and you can see my face. So on Monday the 11th, the podcast was released to hear Chris Doty as he guest speaks on Dr. Jeffrey Gladden's Living Beyond 120 podcast. So check out that if you can. On Wednesday, October the 20th, it's the Ladies and Gentian at 10 a.m. So join us on a deep dive into the true wealth with a time map workshop. So please sign up. I know emails have gone out, so you're welcome to join that at any time. Wednesday, October the 27th is the next Gentian biweekly update, 9 a.m. I know the time has changed, so it is now again at 9 a.m. Thursday, October the 28th is the Health and Wealth Forum with Michelle, and she will be talking about holiday substitutes to our diet because all the holidays are coming up. Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year, all of those fun things. So definitely reach out to her. I know she's on some of the emails that goes out, her number and her email. So definitely keep in mind to reach out to her for that. Also, our fourth quarter review meetings are coming up with Chris, Ken and Zach. So Calendly invites are going out. We will be doing in-person, Zoom or phone. All three will be offered. So if you like doing the Zoom, and I know winter is coming, even though it's beautiful outside right now. If you do want to do Zoom rather than in person, you're very welcome to carry on continuing doing that. So that's no problem whatsoever. Also, a lot of you have signed up for client access, which is to view your accounts online. If you please remember to sign in periodically to your client access, because then you can continue to get e-delivery. I believe Raymond James, after 90 days, if they don't have anyone log in, it defaults back to paper. So for some, if you're in the relationship and one spouse or partner logs in, then that's fine. But if you only have your own login, you do need to periodically log in. So that's about it from me. So I'll take it back to Chris.
Thank you, Lisa. So I'm going to interpret for her on that one, since she was speaking British. No, I'm kidding. Thank you very much, Lisa. I appreciate that. And I want to recognize Lisa right now. She really fulfills a lot of the different. So we have different requests. A lot of you get different presents and gifts, and she fulfills those for you. So she makes what we call a special. She makes our firm special, I believe, as well, in the fact that she does know you also personally, and she's very thoughtful about that as well. So I just wanted to recognize Lisa today on our program, just to lift her up and say thank you. So I wanted to make sure we said that piece as well. And I was actually going to tell you a joke about giants, but it's over your head. So as we go through, I wanted to continue on, if you will. There's a lot going on here that's really happening. And just to give you some of the ideas, we had our program last week. So a lot of what I wanted to put in there, we talked about. But it's interesting today to look at things like the Social Security cost of living adjustment. Some of the financials are beginning to exceed profit expectations because there's finding margin between certain interest rates and what they can lend at as well. One thing I've recently heard though too, and I've been talking a lot about this and seeing it, don't mistake a bull market for brilliance. That's just a statement I want to say, because a lot of people look at this and go, well, look what's happened. I've done this or that. I'm in some cryptocurrencies, they went up, so I really know what I'm doing. And I say, I remember feeling like that as well in 1999, 1998. I remember feeling like that in 2006. I remember feeling like that in 2005. And now I'm smart enough and old enough to realize I don't feel like that, simply because it is a bull market. It's not brilliance. And in a bull market, the last 12 and a half years, we've averaged 17% per year. I'm going to emphasize this. The last 12 and a half years, we've averaged 17% per year plus. Why? Because of 2007 to 2009. So 2000 to 2007 to 2009 has to, listen to me again, 2007 to 2009 has to happen to plant the seed for what's just occurred. Some people say, I can't go through another 2000 to 2007 to 2009. I can't go through that. So let me get this straight. You can't temporarily see the value of your assets drop 30 or 40%, maybe even 50, for the fact that the 12 years following, they go up 4 times. You can't go through that again. Okay, it's good for us to know. You don't really want growth. You don't want more money. So again, we have to put these things in frame and reference, but I go back to that because these are the timeless things. The time things that are going on is, how mRNA technology could change medicine. Delta Airlines posted huge profits on strong travel demand. Apple's coming out with a new watch, a new something or other. There's a bunch of great things happening in technology, but all this is important to a degree. So here's what I looked at recently. Somebody recently said something about stress. A lot of us are feeling a lot of stress, and it's really stressful. And we look at, well, what's stressful? Stressful is a single mother not being able to put food on the table for her kids. Stress is being a Marine and being in a combat mission where at any moment you could get struck by a missile and pass away. Stress is not the fact that what we're feeling and reading is so far away from it's not going to affect us. Stress may be your health, or maybe a spouse, right? There's real things that are. So just be careful about not stressing yourself out about things that are perceived in our mind. Not that you have to be a sunny optimist, but I really mean that. Right now, you're finding across America, and the biggest thing, this happens in markets too. People are, if you will, extremely depressed, and they're having a very difficult time, both in the work environment and the home environment. And you're seeing a lot of acting out. The most you've ever seen on airplanes, the most, what do they call the passengers that are inconsolable, or where they have to stop the plane and actually take them off, the highest they've had ever, and it's only October. You're also seeing that people just becoming irate about things because their agency's been taken away. They don't get to do what they want, if you will. So be careful. In this case here, do 2 things. You're going to learn more about this. We have a green R and a red R. When you react, it's like you're flipping the person off who just drove past you on the freeway. When you respond, you've taken a breath and you paused. And you said, maybe that person who just passed me is going because their spouse is dying or because they're having a baby. So give them the benefit of the doubt. It'll also mostly help you. So with this, there's a bunch going on with the market. There's some very complex things here, some algorithms, some things really nobody understands. So I want to go to Zach. Zach, what's going on?
Thank you, Chris. Really appreciate it. And last week, we had the opportunity to go in about 2 days time frame, go over 17 hours worth of the tax proposals, how they could affect each of your own scenarios, or who it would affect if or when they go into place. So we're behind the scenes working right now. Who do these tax laws potentially affect? What are the scenarios that we can run? So if they do go into effect, how can we act on those? So that was an incredible time last week, and we're going through as a team this week to see who that applies to. Market-wise, not a lot of changes across the markets from 2 weeks ago. The S&P 500, 15.83% positive on the year. The Dow Jones, 12.49. The Russell 2000, which again tracks small cap companies, 13.14. On the growth side of small caps, 2.99, and value 24.33. So continuing along for the year, the disparity between growth and value is still there. Exact opposite if you look over the last 10 years, but that's exactly why we stay diversified and don't try to guess or assume, should we be in small cap growth, should we be in small cap value? We own both of them. On the international side, the measured by the MSCI, excluding the USA, 4.08% positive on the year. Emerging markets still temporarily down 2.54%. And we had a question this last week. Well, what about precious metals? What is gold currently at? And that is on the year minus 6.55. One thing we looked at too, we're really excited at the end of the quarter. Always we go through our funds, our starting lineup of funds, if you will, and kind of our bench players that are ready for us if our starters aren't performing the way they should, every week, every month, but especially every quarter. Mike, Ryan, myself, and our team go through, see what's performing the way it should be, what's not, and if there's anything that we should be doing. And we're actively going through that right now. one thing we looked at and saw that year to date, if we're looking at individual sector performance, energy is actually up almost 50%, 49.44. But over the last 5 years, energy is actually down 18.08, which the next lowest sector is up almost over 30%. So just important to have historical long-term perspectives with those. Year to date on the financial side, or financial sector is up 30.47, and real estate still up 24.20 as well. Those were two of the worst performing sectors last year with COVID that are now some of the best. On the fixed income, slight increases across the board. As far as Treasury yield to maturity, the current yield for the 1 year is 0.11, the 5 year is 1.05, the 10 year is 1.60, and the 30 year is 2.16. One thing that we've been coming across frequently is offering fixed annuities as far as other firms doing so to you guys. Be careful of those. They've been locking us in as far as the time frame to get the yield. The most recent one we've seen is a 5 year 2% fixed annuity. Just be aware of those, what they're trying to sell us and what we're trying to get out of them. It might be better just to keep that money on the sidelines in our money market or savings account for the time being. 3 really, really interesting facts that I wanted to share with you guys, brought to us by MFS, by the numbers. The total household net worth in the US is up 47% in the last 4 years and up 89% in the last 8 years. As of the end of June, it was $141.7 trillion as far as US household net worth. The top 20% of US households, as far as net worth goes, measured by about $600,000 or more from some 2020 reports, own 93% of US equities. Incredible number. And just because it's my mother's birthday, I had to find an interesting fact about October 13th. 13 years ago today, Monday, October 13th, 2008, was the single best trading day in the last 71 years with a 1-day gain of 11.58%. Now, if you remember from last week in the economic forum, we talked about potentially being out of the market and missing the best days. Imagine if you would have been out of the market during that time frame and missed an 11.58% return. You never know when those days are going to happen, and that's why we continually stay invested.
Thank you. So household net worth is up tremendously. Here's a couple other things that go along with this. I just wanted to note, and this is a big, big issue for many of you. There's a luxury watch shortage. Wait a minute, I'm sorry. That's probably not important to many of you, but that secondary market for luxury watches is up tremendously, in case anyone cares. Also, alternative assets. A lot of people are looking at alternative assets like shoes and art and other things, because what happens, people think things get boring. Remember, when things get boring, people look to things that many times don't end up being good investments. They just look at them as it's something different. There's probably something good. Somebody reached out to me recently with an investment, and they said, look, it's done 16% per year since inception. Inception was 2019. So again, there's no perspective, no ability to look at it. But again, you just got to look at some of the different ideas that people are getting today. And I'm starting to note it's nowhere near bubble that I've seen in the past, but we're starting to see a few ideas that maybe we're actually in a bull market. Another thing is, I just recently had this thought. We're going to look back at now and say, remember when you could get a mortgage at 1.8%? You guys always tell us the stories, Ken, myself, and Zach, about, oh, my mortgage was 14, and you brag about it. The highest mortgage you could possibly have, mortgage is 16%. We go, why would you ever do that? You can get them today at 1.6. So in our lifetime, remember this, we're going to come back to this. You're going to tell your kids, we used to be able to get a mortgage back in 2021 at 1.8%. And they're going to go, wow, man, that was pretty much free money. Anyway, it hit me saying, I think in the future, this is going to be an important moment. Another very important thing is William Shatner is going to go into space with Jeff Bezos. I know that's important news, but I thought that should be prepared. Actually, that's some of the financial news that came out as well. And mortgage demand has slowed tremendously. Also, housing purchasing has slowed tremendously. So that really super hot market, people are now listing their homes for more than they're worth, and they're sitting. This is the first time that's happened in probably the last probably 3 or 4 years, apparently. But right now, we're starting to see some capping off of some of those different ideas as well. So if you were going to refinance, Typically, if rates come down a bit here, you might find a period of time where it's good. Anyway, with some of those different ideas, I just wanted to share those with you as well. Ken, what's going on in the planning area? One thing I wanted to say too about Zach and Mike, they were recently with one of our great teachers, if you will, at an Association of Preferred Financial Advisors, learned some incredible things. Like he said, we're going to go over. But I wanted to go through some of the planning ideas that Ken has now, because there's some very cool things going on in planning and the big picture right now. Ken, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Chris. Great to be here with all of you as usual. It is football season. I am going to try a joke today. How much does Tom Brady pay to have his ears pierced? $1 an ear. For all you football fans out there. So there you go. So today I'm going to talk about inheritance planning both ways, receiving an inheritance and also preparing, gifting, or leaving an inheritance for your loved ones or an organization. We're starting to hear a lot about that in meetings right now. Also, I'm going to talk about healthcare changes from the employer side of the equation. Some employers used to offer retiree healthcare. They're no longer doing that anymore. And that's a common theme that's been happening for years and years and years. The pension was the first thing. Now the healthcare, the retiree healthcare is kind of on the chopping block, if you will, as well. So on the healthcare changes and the pension changes, a lot of you have been offered lump sum pension buyouts. You've been offered buyouts along the way. We'll help you with those. We'll help you evaluate which one makes the most amount of sense for you based on your scenario and what you're trying to accomplish. Also, with the healthcare changes, there has been retiree healthcare offered at some of the bigger companies around the area. That's going away or changing. Don't worry. We have your back there. There's also COBRA. Don't forget about COBRA. Even though that the retiree healthcare may go away, COBRA does last for 18 months. And that is a federal program. So when you look at that piece, also the open market exchange, we have great partners that we work with on the health insurance side of the equation. If you're, under 65 or over 65, we have solutions for you. We have a great team that you could talk to and bounce some ideas off to make sure you're getting the best value for your money when it comes to healthcare as well. So talk to us about that. If something's on your mind, we'll be happy to help you out. Either we can help you or we know someone that can help you. When it comes to inheritance planning, this is kind of a tricky one, because our relationship changes over time with money. When someone told me it's the opposite. When we need it the most, we have none of it. And when we don't necessarily need it, we have pretty much all of it that we'd ever need ever in our lifetime. So, what we're seeing right now is more family wealth planning going on. Now, this isn't for every family, but we are seeing more of that where mom and dad are kind of the spearheading everything, but the children are kind of falling into place as well. And we're having more family conversations around money and wealth and what it means. College planning, who's funding what? Who wants to fund what? What are some of the goals of the family, not just in the individuals of the family? So we're starting to see more and more of that. Thank you for opening up to your family to us. We really appreciate that. It means a lot to us. But if you're receiving an inheritance, sometimes this can be an uneasy thing to do, because if you receive money from somebody that you're not expecting, sometimes you're like, well, I feel really weird about this money. It's not really my money. What should I do with it? And what we found over a period of time of doing this is that sometimes this money gets sat on in a checking account or a savings account for 2 or 3 years before someone is ready to do something with that. So just be aware of these feelings. They're very normal. You're not alone. Other people have felt this way, and they found out that sometimes waiting on money like that is a good idea. Sometimes it's okay to plan for your money right away as well if you inherit it too. So again, sometimes when people inherit money, it's the first time they've ever needed an advisor. It's the first time they've ever needed some advice on what to do. We're here for you. We're here for your family. We're here for your friends. This organization was built for that. And we're here for you over that period of time as well. So also on the giving or leaving side of it, again, as we age, our relationship changes with money. Eventually we feel the sense of security with money. We feel that there may be a little bit of access there at times. You always want to make sure there's enough there in case you need care or you need something in your life. But some of you said, hey, you know what? Now that I know what we have and how this is going, how do we prepare our assets for our children or organizations to best receive the money so that we're most efficient of doing that way. So there's taxes that are involved with that. There's what the kids' situations are involved with that. There's organizations that are involved with that. So again, thank you for opening up to your most deepest conversations with us. We appreciate that. We'll continue to be there for you. Let us know what's on your mind. If we know what's on your mind, we can certainly help you, and we would love to do so.
Thank you, Ken. Outstanding. There's so much to go over in the category. It's kind of amazing, but I do appreciate what you're going through as well. I know we actually are finding that the baby boomers to their children are passing on the most assets in history, and our baby boomer clients are also receiving more from their parents than ever. So it's almost like we have the biggest inheritance ever and the biggest set to pass inheritance coming as well. So it's really interesting to watch what's going on, if you will. Get rid of this here. But really interesting to see, if you will. So I wanted to go through one more thing here, if I may. And this is kind of, I'll leave this at the end here, but I did want to go through one more piece on perspective. This is something when it comes to planning, and I brought this up at our seminar on Tuesday, but if you didn't walk in tomorrow, what would happen? It's probably the ultimate in preparation. How about passwords for the little things you've changed? I know this because I was going over them recently, and we have a book that we actually have in our safe of all of our passwords. And when they change, you intend to go update it, but we don't sometimes. So it's a very interesting idea here when I go through this and say, how many of us are prepared for if we don't step into Earth tomorrow? And it's one of those things where there's never a good time, there's never enough time to prepare for that, but it's something you may want to consider. So how can you help others in preparing for what may be us not walking in one day as well? So that was a big piece we talked about at the program recently. The most often thing too, though, is looking at perspective. And perspective today is the market is good. Things have been very, very good. I'd say money is probably the ultimate in freedom. Freedom from having to work and freedom to do what you want to do. One of the biggest things that we've been seeing lately is making sure that if you are retiring or transitioning, or if you're in retirement, always have a greater why. What does that mean? Why am I here? Why am I doing things? Do I feel needed? It's a very important thing to take a look at. It's a very important thing, a very difficult hole to get out of if we don't feel that we are. So looking at that, find the things that you really love and enjoy, the places you love to contribute. When you feel the best, I'm doing this, and find a way you can do more of that. So listen, I really love when I'm teaching children. Great. We need more people to teach children. We need more people to take care of kids at church, or to, for church, or for camps for kids as well. Find what it is that you really enjoy. And I mean this. This is the passion about what it is we do. It's the why. We're retired often, but sometimes we forget the script after that. I'm going to retire. Whew, I've been working so hard to retire and getting money, and now, I'm retired. Now what? So we have some fantastic examples of that, but don't hesitate to call and ask us as well to have a discussion. Hey, now what for me, Chris? So feel free. I know that's a lot of the non-financial stuff, and for some of you, you're only about the finance. But we are plan it, live it, and give it. So for us, the planning is the left brain, the geeky stuff we do, looking at all the 4 different tax proposals and the 1,000 different things that might come, the 700 emails I get from all the different estate planners going, here's the way to look at it, here's the way to look at it. Well, I'm not going to look at it and do anything. We know what may happen, and if it does, we'll then look at what we should do with that. So, but as you take a look at this, we want to help you be prepared for, most importantly, the live it side of the equation as well, because you're going to live some 30 and 40 years in retirement, right? So living it becomes super important. Some of you may subscribe to that, some of you may not. Ken was just talking about the give it. We may have more than we need. Some of your plan is to help your children or grandchildren with a down payment. How do you want to do that? So Ken, that's a beautiful thing you brought up as well. I really appreciate that. I'd like to end today with some gratitude by reading you a poem that I wrote. And some of you may just want to turn it off now. Some of you may want to listen. You'll get this as well on your next newsletter. But once in a while, I'm inspired by something. This one comes to the fall as I was sitting looking at leaves, and I think this is a big part, but it's called Giants Rest. So giants rest. As the weather darkens, they stick around to face the coming storms and cold. They prepare by shedding their coats to bravely face the coming winter, foreshadowed by the nippy nights and the smell of autumn. They will remain as tried and true to see us through another winter. Their job is done for this season. They have gone through the storms, shed a limb or two, been a home for a growing family. They have gone through the birth and regeneration. They have added a ring. Their hair yellows oranges and reds, and sometimes sheds. The light gets a little shorter, reflection occurs, nights begin to nip, and color begins to show, transforming from green that the sun so generously gave, maturing into the colors that take our breath away. Some shine in glorious colors of the rainbow, some brown and fall, some prefer to leave their needles long. They shed their coats to that provided us shade and protection, forming a blanket that we jump in, and the earth, eventually, that we grow in. It is a full circle and the circle of life. The giants point out the turning of the seasons. They direct us to prepare, reflect, and appreciate, and show gratitude as the cycle of life continues. So it's by one of my favorite poets. I really appreciate that one, but I thought I'd share that with you as well. And if you want to know that poet was me. Anyway, sometimes these things come in as you go through. I wanted to share that with you and leave you for this season. It's the right brain activity that I do sometimes, and I think so. I wanted to share that with you. Hopefully, for some of you, you enjoyed it, and others who didn't, thank you for your time as well. So we've been growing greatly. We really appreciate and are grateful for everything you do. We love who you are. We love seeing you and meeting you. It really kind of livens it. Not kind of. It's why we do what we do. So we are here to do and help you with retirement. Every time I get together with you, it reminds me of that as well. So I just want to make sure we've celebrated a few lives in the past few weeks as well. And we want to let you know we're here as well beyond what happens to you and or your spouse. Another thing we just recently reminded people of is we're helping their children. So remember, we've got a team here to be able to help your children with questions they have as well. So with that, I want to say thank you so much from here at Gentian, where we help you plan it, live it, and give it. Stay safe, be grateful, and actually give people hope if you can, because the world needs it. And have a great 2 weeks. Thank you.